Couch Surfers. Chapter 19. Night slithered in. The storm pelted the roof, and a gust of wind slammed the porch door shut. Bonnie glanced out the living room window and saw her car in the driveway. How she wished she could escape. The car was soaking in the heavy rain, and she saw the barren garage in ruins in the mist, caved-in roof, and the ground was smothered in black ash. Bonnie slid the curtain shut and sat next to the lamp. She saw the hairbrush on the couch and ran it through her hair. Soon it'll be morning. She noticed Jose's shoes were missing, but his wallet was on the floor. She wished he hadn't run away to the shed for the whiskey bottle, but he needed his space to recover. He needed to drink it off. Then came another heavy gust of wind and the sound of rain pelting windows, and that sound was relentless, rattled her nerves, would not stop. And through the curtain, a bolt of white light flickered, and all went dark again. Nothing could stop the rain that surrounded her. She had wanted to go out and get Jose, but fought the urge. What if Orville came back downstairs? I guess Rick and Susie were upstairs. They had gone to bed and insisted they have their alone time. Susie was still in bad shape and probably needed medical help. Her mind was restless. She was still sick from the pills. How far could Ted have made it? Back to the diner, all the way to the interstate. What was he doing alone out there in this storm? Where was he now? She saw her shadow on the bookshelf, as still as a fly on the wall. She reached for a Bible on the bookshelf and made her way back to the chair. That book was the only thing that could bring her comfort now, with the smell of black ash carrying from through the window, and the thought of a dead girl, and a psycho upstairs. Yes, the ash was a constant reminder that the unfriendly dead things were always haunting us, conjuring terrible fears in our souls. The air was too chilly. Goosebumps invaded her arms. Every hair on her forearm shot up, needles in hair. Why'd I leave the sweater in the trunk? So cold now. Raw, wet. Should I go back out in this? Then another gust of cold air blew inside, and she wanted to get up from that chair and close that window, but her legs were too tired to move. Instead, she kept her eyes on the pages of that book and read psalm after psalm until comfort finally came. Yes. And she told herself all she had to do now was keep reading to settle her spirit. And this was what her uncle had always said: turn to the Lord for guidance, always in your darkest hour. And so she did. It was the only way to get through the night, and there was a voice in those words to tell her everything would be all right. Yes, the Savior will always listen, as her uncle had once said. Trust in the Lord, have faith. But then, there was another bright flicker, and the curtain glowed, and the sound of thunder shot down hard, and that was when the lamplight flickered and the room went black, soaking every corner in darkness. Rick's voice exploded upstairs. What the hell? And then she heard the floorboards creaking above her. The footsteps stammered around, restless. Rick's voice was loud. What the hell happened to the power? Susie screamed back. I didn't unplug it. Try the light over there. I already did. It was then that Bonnie heard footsteps on the front porch, the sound of heavy feet running, and then she saw a shadow disappear around the corner. Orville? Hal? She rose from the sofa in fear and reached for a candle next to the music box. All she needed was a match, but she'd run out of smokes and matches hours ago. Where's Ted's lighter? She knew Jose had matches, with all that pot he smoked, but he was out in that shed. There had to be some on the counter near the candles. She remembered some there yesterday. Then she heard Rick's voice upstairs again, and the guest bedroom floorboards kept creaking from restless footsteps. And then he yelled, I need that goddamn candle, not the bottle. Put it down. Bonnie slid open a drawer under the music box. She saw a book of matches, blue-colored, Reno, Nevada, vintage. Then she struck one and lit the candle. The heavy scent of sulfur lingered in the room. Lucky for her in finding the matchbook and candle, she made her way over to check in on Rick and Susie. Hot wax flooded into her fingers and dripped as she climbed the creaking stairwell. Up in the bedroom, she saw Susie on the bed, and there were 3 candles burning on the dresser. The curtain lifted, and the wind was ice cold. Rick was lying next to her, helping her to a glass of water. Susie's body was so weak she could barely lift her head. Her hands waved in the air. "It's not helping. I'm still hot." Rick turned to the window latch. "Then I'm closing it. The pillows are getting wet." Susie's head fell back. "Help me, please. I'm so sick." Rick tried to lift her again. "I can't believe you drank half the bottle. Damn it." "It's worth a try. I needed something." "Something? Look at you." Stop, Susie said. "I don't want to fight. I can't. I'm too weak now." Rick turned to Bonnie. "She's burning up this time. High fever." "Can I do anything to help?" Bonnie asked. "No." Susie's eyes rolled back. "I'm dizzy now. Hot, very hot, and my heart's out of whack. Here." Rick reached for the water glass. "You gotta drink more of this. You need water." "It's too late." Susie's hands trembled so violently that the glass of water spilled to her shirt. Rick lifted the rim to her lips and darted a glance at Bonnie. "Her brain's frying," Bonnie asked. "And you gave that same stuff to me last night?" "It's rare for this to happen. Never seen it before," he said. "Takes a lunatic with a death wish to reach this point. An addict with expired pills." "Baby, please. I'm not an addict. Don't be mean." Susie's voice stuttered as she tried to lift herself up. "It's hot, so hot in here. Maybe a cold shower will help." He placed his hand on her forehead and checked her eyes. "But you're dizzy." "I'll manage," she said, lifting from the pillow and bracing herself on the bedpost. "Are you sure?" Susie nodded. "Yeah, maybe a cold shower will break the fever." Rick turned to Bonnie. "Have you seen Hal?" "He might have just run across the front porch. Scared the hell out of me," Susie said. "He's playing with us, I know it. I know him. Always joking around to get back for our stupid argument earlier. Maybe Cindy's in on this too, faking her death. Maybe." Rick stared Bonnie deep in the eye. "We've been talking about this. Cindy snuck out to meet Hal last night and fucked him." "What?" Rick said. "So who knows? Our nickname for Hal was the Firestarter. That was our nickname for him in elementary school. He's always had a little pyro in him." "Yeah, and heck, it wouldn't surprise me if he started it. I should have known he'd snap on this trip, especially the amount of pills he's on. But why'd he do this?" "He's a pretty sick nut job," Susie said. "Especially when he's coming down. He always gets like this." Susie kept on. "Cindy might play dead for more pills. She would. When Hal stole the van in Portland, Jose was pissed at her for playing along with Hal. She did it for the pills, too. Hal was over the top then, just like now." "I hope you're both right," Bonnie said. "Oh, and I know Cindy's been fucking Hal on this trip, right behind Jose's back, and I think he knows it too. She's been fucking him a lot." "Right." Rick sighed. "And Jose's been getting angry at her. Hit her once in Hollywood after he saw Hal pull her into the bathroom at Bordner's." "What?" "Yeah," Susie said. "Jose kept bitching he couldn't trust her or Hal. Last night it was Ted who broke it up. He was out on the porch smoking a cigarette at the time," said Jose pushed her down the stairs. "You're kidding?" "Damn it, Hal," Rick snapped. "It's time to find his butt and tell him to cut this crap out. This ain't funny no more. Did you say you saw him on the porch for real?" "I'm not sure," Bonnie said, her mind suddenly racing, visions of Jose pushing her in anger, moved by the jealousy he had over Hal. If this wasn't all one big joke, could it be that he did push her in the fire? Could it be that Orville was telling the truth? Rick eyed Bonnie. "So how'd you hear about this hell house anyways? Psychos.com?" "The main couch surfing site." "The guy running this place is a real creep. It could be him behind all this too. You ever think of that?" "It's been crossing my mind. Bonnie said. Let's hope it's all one of Hal's jokes. He nodded. If not, we're in big trouble here. We've got to find Hal. Got to. Rick turned to Susie. You take that shower and we'll go look for him. We've got to trust this is a big joke, his worst one. Trust. There was that word for Bonnie again. That same word her mother had always talked about. Trust. It's got to be a joke. Rick rose from the bed and set the water glass on the dresser. Regardless, Orville's out of his mind. Ever notice how his eyes roll off into deep space when he's talking to you? The damn guy looks like Charles Manson. Hell, he spooked you out the first time you saw him. Right? And Jose said he tried touching Cindy's ass, and she smacked his hand away. Susie leaned over. Yeah. Well, maybe the guy is crazy, and he pushed her, but it's got to be Hal behind all this unless Jose pushed her. I mean, he could, especially after whacking her in Hollywood. Maybe he found out they were fucking and never said anything. He's been so mad at her lately. Suddenly, the drug was too heavy on her and she was weary again. Oh, no. Rick. Her eyes were clenched tight and sweat was coming from her head. This damn fever. I need that shower. Rick paced the floor. This is Hal's joke. It all adds up. The van, the power out, the fire, Cindy missing. It's all got to be. Hal's all messed up on the drugs. He's been overdoing the pills all week. I hope you're right, Bonnie said. Let's get to the bottom of this and find Hal. I'm ready. Rick turned to Susie. You go and take the cold shower. Suddenly, Bonnie heard wood creaking outside the bedroom door, and she glanced into the darkness. Who was it? Then came the sound of glass breaking. Rick jumped from the bed. What was that? Bonnie jumped into the hallway and yelled out, Orville! Hal? Rick turned to Susie. We'll be back. Shower up. Susie slid from the sheets, stark naked. You won't be long? Not at all. Rick stood and raced over to Bonnie and searched the hallway. Someone had to be standing here watching us, listening to us talk in the room. That creep was watching, wasn't he? Bonnie searched deep into the darkness. Something lurked out there, hidden in those shadows.